Comes from the Mediterranean island of Rhodes, part of Greece, which at the time was part of Italy. The island now belongs to Greece, though. Until the Second World War, her ancestors and family had lived on the island of Rhodes since the Jews were expelled from Spain way back in 1492. Of course, the year that Columbus came to the west. Many refugees from this Spanish Inquisition fled to Turkey and Turkish possessions, which included Rhodes. The island has changed hands over the centuries. Mussolini and Hitler, Mussolini the leader of Italy during World War II, were allies against the Western democracies until the death of Mussolini in 1943, when Italy switched sides and joined our side. Hitler then attacked Rhodes, captured it, and promptly deported all of the some 2,000 Jews to the camp of Auschwitz in present-day Poland. Of the 2,000 Jews deported from Rhodes, only 130 survived, including two of Mrs. Golden's sisters. Her parents and 11-year-old brother were among those murdered by the Nazis. After the liberation of Auschwitz camp, Mrs. Golden was sent back to Italy. There she was able to live with relatives in Tangiers, in the North African country of Morocco, international at the time, now I think it's Morocco. In 48, she was helped to come to the U.S. She now lives in Vancouver, Washington. Let's give a big CHS welcome to Mrs. Goldman.
I have never had such a big audience. I'm overwhelmed. Can you hear me way down there? All right. In case you wonder how come I'm here, I have spoken to many junior high, high schools, colleges, churches. I am a witness to the Holocaust. I feel that it's incumbent upon me to speak for the millions who are silent. What happened during the Second World War is something that's almost unbelievable. The Nazis, the Germans, perpetrated such horror to the people of Europe, and in particular to the Jews, and plenty to others as well. But what's so particular it is that starting from Germany itself, to Austria, to Czechoslovakia, and every country in Europe that was taken by the Germans, their first job, or the second job, the first job was to occupy the country, and then take all the Jews, deported them for killing. However, they left alive the young people, anywhere between the age of 13, 14, up to about 35 years of age. I was born in 1922, when we were deported by the Germans, after Mussolini, our leader, who was an ally of Germany, unfortunately. Mussolini was overthrown in 1943, so that the Nazis or the Germans occupied the island, and we were deported in 1944 in July. My whole family, all the Jews from Rhodes, we were rounded up, and we were deported from that island, which is located in the eastern Mediterranean, way down in a very temperate climate, all the way to Poland, north, almost the border of Poland and North Germany. We had no idea where we were going to be transported, and it took us almost 1 month to arrive. First of all, we were put in boats, small boats, and carried to Piraeus, to Greece. What would usually take about 7-8 hours by boat to arrive from Rhodes to Piraeus, it took us 8 days. We traveled only by night During the day, they took us, we could not leave the boat in the first place. We were sitting there like sardines. It was very hot. We didn't have any food. They didn't give us any food. We took what we had at home, very little, because for the past 3 years we were at war. We had plenty of bombings from British and Americans, and we were hoping every time that we had bombings that they would, we were looking up in the sky, looking for parachutes, for either British or Americans to come and liberate us. Instead, that day never came. So we arrived in Piraeus. I don't know how many they died. In that boat, there were no bathroom facilities. They gave us buckets to go to the bathroom. We were sitting there, very crowded, and it was horrible to hear the children cry. That's one thing I don't think I can ever forgive them. Not for me, I have forgiven a long time ago, but for the poor children who were crying, who were hungry, who were thirsty, and for the elderly who were dying, for the beatings that they received without any concern whether they were elderly people or children. They just would beat us while we were transported from one place to another. We arrived in Piraeus, and again, every time that it meant that we had to go from one place to the other, all they would do, they would come and beat us to our legs. The first word that we learned was schnell, which means fast in German. And from Piraeus, they took us to a small camp close to Athens, where we waited for 3-4 days. Only then, when we arrived there, we were allowed to have some water to drink. On the boats, we only had a barrel of water, rancid water, and in a couple of days it was gone. So they used to bring water from the sea when they emptied the buckets of mess. So they would bring buckets full of water so that we could wash our face. But naturally, there was not enough for everybody to go around. But we did the best we can, and I don't know how many died. Naturally, the first victims were the babies, the elderly people, and at the end of the day, when we would stop, they would take the dead people and throw them overboard. At the beginning, we were hoping that they would leave us alone and leave us in Greece, but that did not happen. In Greece, I lost my maternal grandmother. She died. I believe that inasmuch we cried, but deep down in our hearts, we felt that her suffering was over and ours was still going on. We hoped that to be bombed and just get it over, because when suffering is too much, really the best thing that a person can ask, whether young or old, really age makes no difference. The suffering is suffering. To just be left in peace, to be killed. And we kept on living, I don't know why. We arrived in Piraeus. From there, they took us to a concentration camp. Fortunately, they gave us water to wash ourselves. Just don't think that they gave us showers, though. Just faucets, and we were able to wash just superficially, let's put it this way. But it was only for a short time. Within half an hour, the water was gone. We only could have water in the morning, and that was all. During the day, we were not fed water. In other words, they didn't give us water. It was summertime, very hot indeed. And the accommodations were cement floors to sleep there. If we liked it, if we didn't like it, too bad. We asked no questions, because asking questions meant beating. In the first place, we didn't know much of German anyway, so all we wanted to do is avoid beatings, confrontation with them, or even asking questions. So we just bowed our heads and on we went. Within 3 days, they put us on trucks, and every time that we had to move from one place to the other, the beatings were merciless. They were angry people. They had no pity on us. We were innocent. We never hurt anyone. We never committed any crime. Our sole crime was to be of the Jewish faith. That was sufficient for them to just treat us, well, animals are not treated like that. They took took us on trains to the in the boxcars. I'm sure you all have seen boxcars. They kept shoving anywhere between 75 and 90 people. We didn't even have time, space not to stand one next to the other. It was very hot, and what they gave us in the boxcar was a barrel of water and cans to go to the bathroom. As we went to the bathroom in the cans, the train started to move, and all the urine, everything was right where we were sitting or standing. It went on from Greece all the way to Poland. We were passing country upon country, and only once a day, when evening was approaching, at the end of the day, they would unbolt the doors and kick us out with whips to jump down and go to the bathroom in the fields as if we were dogs. But in the meantime, that was not, the problem was that we were sitting in our own feces. And all we were wishing was to just die. We were wishing to be bombed. And that never came. Day after day, my father died in Yugoslavia. At the end of the day, usually there were probably 7, 8, 10 people dying in our cars. At least those who were dying, they were put to rest in shallow graves. We arrived in Auschwitz on August the 16th, 1944. We were taken out of Rhodes on July the 18th. So it was almost 1 month. By the time we arrived there, we were filthy. We had head lice, body lice, feces encrusted in our legs. We had no more clothes left. Everything was messed up. We were stinking, filthy, and we were beaten up, and just to get jumped down from the boxcars. And as we were jumping down, we were looked up and down, and they were deciding who would go to the left, who would go to the right. At this time, I had 2 sisters with me. I was the oldest. I was 22 years of age. My younger one was 20, and the youngest of us 3 was only 14 years of age. All of three of us passed. They sent us to the right. My mother and my young brother of 11 years of age went to the left. With me, in my charge, was my mother's sister, who happened to be blind. She always was in my charge. And the German officer signaled to me to let her go, and I did. She started to cry, so I went behind him and grabbed her to bring her to my side. He noticed what I said, what I did, and he beat me on both sides of my face and threw me on the ground. That was the last time I saw my mother, my brother, and my aunt. There were other members of the family, aunts and uncles and cousins. Finally, we realized that the ones who were in the line to the right, we were all young people, and we started to march. We marched, I don't know, maybe 2-3 miles, I have no idea. It was very hot. The only thing we were wearing was a little dress, which was all messed up, and lice and sores all over our bodies. We still had shoes with us, although they were messed up. The first thing that they did, they told us to remove our clothes. We didn't have much on. Naturally, the first impact was the shame to be naked in front of men coming and going. And we stood in line trying to just hide our nakedness. And we stayed in attention, I don't know for how long, probably a couple of hours, until they started to process us. The first thing was to shave us. Any part of the body that they had was shaven by inmates. They were prisoners like us. However, they had some blue and white uniforms. Those were in special treatment. By treatment, I mean they had a uniform. They shaved us. Then they put a number in our arms. My number is A-24,328. So we were all numbered, and this was to be our identification. We were not being recognized by our names. It was all numbers. My two sisters were still with me, and 5 cousins, all girls. They separated men from women. So the next thing, they sent us to the shower, cold water, and we were fighting already for the first time to get to the shower, to have some water, and whoever had the soap passed it around. We were allowed to keep soap, shoes, toothbrush, and comb. Naturally, we didn't need a hairbrush or a comb, and many of us didn't have anything left anyway. We had no hair, so no use for the comb. And the next thing, all that, they didn't give us a piece of bread or any food or any water for that matter, so that when we got to the shower, we really were trying to drink water rather than wash ourselves. I believe that a person can survive without food for, well, depending on the person, probably for days, but water is the most important thing, and that they denied us a sip of water. The cruelty and the barbarism that they were displaying, these people, it is unbelievable. For people who had the potential of doing so much to the world, for their intelligence, for their education in every field, from science to music, it is so shamefully that they used that to destroy other people, because they were obsessed with their megalomania, which means that they thought that they were the greatest people in the world, and Hitler was trying to raise an Aryan race, a pure race. Everybody else was not pure, therefore not suitable for existing. So the next thing, we marched, we entered the barracks, and that was already, it was a section of Auschwitz called Birkenau. Of all that, we had no idea that these camps existed, or that people can be so cruel toward other people, innocent of any crime. We arrived there, and I don't know, the barracks were about half of this size, and there were about 500 women in each barrack. There were 2 rows of bunks, one facing the other, three tiers of bunks, 3. We were taken to the upper one, but we had to sit on the ground through the night, just a few hours, and then all of a sudden the whistle started to whistle, and we didn't know what was happening, so we had to follow the others and do whatever they were doing. So they got up and they were running out of the barrack. The barracks were just plain wood barracks. If it rained, the rain came from the roof. At this time, these barracks were all built, about 1941 or 42 at the most. And by now, where at one time there were some bedding there. By bedding, I mean probably gunny sacks with straw inside, straw mattresses, and probably a blanket. By now, there was nothing left but planks, just plain planks. And they were running in directions here and there to go to the latrine, to the bathroom, which was another barrack with benches from one end to the other, and holes, and underneath were the buckets that we eventually had to empty. There was no toilet paper. What they gave us was a dress. No underwear, no bra, no panties, no stockings, nothing. Just a dress. Short, long, whatever it was, that was it. And anyone who didn't like it got a good beating. And the day was in the morning, still very dark. The lights were, you could drop a pin there and you would find it. The fact was that the fences were electrified. Anyone who did not like the accommodations could just run to the fence and hang themselves. Naturally, everything has a terrible impact the first day when we arrived there to see some girls running to the fences and hanging themselves. A couple of minutes, 2 minutes, not even more than 3 minutes, they just would fall down, just like they were dead, period, electrocuted. Well, for days, that thought really raced through my mind. We were asking what happened to our parents. Where are they? When are we going to meet them? And they pointed us to the smokestacks with flames and black smoke coming out of it, which we thought they were kitchens. Where else would a smokestack be located? And they explained to us what was happening there. Unless we were there, there would be no other survivors. They would just put them, for some reason or other, I guess they knew the whole story because they just told us in very, what we thought it was a cruel way, but it was what was happening. So they said, try to survive. And they were asking us all kinds of questions. How is the war going? Because there, that was, we were in a hell, a 24-hour hell, forgotten and forsaken by the whole world. Nobody cared about us. We thought that this is the end of the world. But if death would have come quickly, it would not been so bad. But to see the suffering and to know that our parents, our grandparents, everybody was killed, exterminated as if we were vermin. This is what the German people, this is what the Nazis were doing. People with education, they were so cruel, so inhuman. The day in Auschwitz was getting up when it was still dark, running to the latrine, and if possible, going to the washroom, which had hot water only, and the water was brownish, and there were big signs not to drink the water because it will give us typhus. Well, with or without it, we were really in a very bad shape. Forever, we had diarrhea, every one of us. So how can you figure going to the bathroom and not having any underwear, not having paper to wipe ourselves? Therefore, it was very easy to just stand there and spread our legs and let the diarrhea come right to our legs. We were sick at ourselves, to look at ourselves in such a condition from decent human beings to be dehumanized in such a way that all we were hoping was death. However, none of the girls whom I knew from my place committed suicide, not that I know. And anyway, my cousins, we were trying to survive. We were crying at times, praying at times, asking God, why are we punished in such a way? What is God permitting this kind of barbarism? Naturally, there was no answer. But day by day, we were hoping that the end would come. In the meantime, we started to hear from far away airplanes circling around, not above us. And they started to take people out of the camp. But our misery was going on. Right after, in the morning, the food was like saying 3 square meals a day. Way, way down. In the morning, we were given a bowl of hot water, brown water. But the problem was that the bowls were in a barrel. We had to stand in line to go to the barrel and pick up a bowl, each one of us. We tried to stand in line, but lines were non-existent. We were behaving like animals. When one breaks the line and the next and the next, all you can do is just follow the crowds. Otherwise, we were standing there like dummies and not getting anything. So there were fights among us, hitting among us, and that was very disturbing to be doing that to ourselves. But everything was planned for the dehumanization of us. That's all women. The men were in a different part, and so we tried to do the best we could. For lunch, it was the same thing, but in between the coffee and lunchtime, lunch was a bowl, the same bowl, filthy, was never washed, if we could get it in the first place. And it was just water with a couple of pieces of cabbage or a carrot, and if we were lucky, we had a piece of potato. That was all. Nothing else. They closed the washroom in the morning, right after we went in there, if we could get to the water. They did not give us any water all through the day. We could not go back in the barrack to sit down, but rather they made us walk for a couple of miles. We were guarded by women. They had dogs with them. They were on bicycle, and they were making us walk. We didn't have even the strength to walk. And anyone who fell on the floor and she fainted, she was left there, and the German SS, the woman would give orders for the dogs to go and get that girl. My eyes have seen the bodies tearing apart by the dogs. And all we could do was cry. And we were not able to help our own sisters there. We had to keep walking. We would pick up 2 bricks from a pile of bricks. Those bricks were like ice cube trays. They were so cold. Bricks have the potential of absorbing heat as well as cold. So we had to carry those 2 bricks from one part of the camp to another, and we had to hold those bricks right against our stomachs. It was very cold in the morning, but then during the day it became hot, and we were thirsty. Thirst and hunger and filth were our own companions. It went on. In the evening was the only time. We were counted twice a day. In the morning it was still very dark. We waited in line. We could not touch each other. We had to stand at about 2 feet from each other in line 5 by 5. The German officers would come and count us. The capo, when I say capo, I mean the one who was his helper. She would stand there and call number by number. Naturally, within a day or so, we already learned how to answer to our number and detected when our number was called. And we said, "Jawohl," and we broke the line in the morning and in the evening. No one could escape out of the camp. The whole camp was with electrified fences. Not only that, there was a tower there at the beginning or at both ends of the camp. As far as we could see, there were camp inside camp. Only within our eyesight, we knew that there were gypsies. The gypsies had the same fate as us. They were rounded up mainly from Bulgaria, from Hungary and Romania. These 3 countries had most of the gypsy population. They were treated exactly like us. However, political prisoners were separated from us and treated much better. They had shoes, they had clothing on, they had hats. We used to see them from a distance marching back and forth in the morning and in the evening. Apparently they were working somewhere. The days went on like that. The daytime was a hell. The nighttime, trying to get 10 girls, but as some were dying, so at times we only were 7, sometimes 6, it depends who died. Sometimes they didn't even die, they just dropped down, they couldn't get up. At the end of the day, men prisoners would come and with carts, with bush carts, and they would just drop like potatoes, sack of potatoes, the dead and the dying. There were carts full every single day, and we were standing there witnessing the extermination of people, of young people, mainly from Poland. There were, I think, about several hundreds of thousands from Poland. That was the majority of Germany first. The first ones to be deported were the Germans and the Polish, from Austria as well. We came at the very end of the war, and what I want to say, inasmuch we suffer. These other women, other people from European countries suffer way before they started to suffer since 1938 and 39, or even in Germany even before that. Anyway, but we were hoping to be to escape this, but nevertheless, there we were. So we stayed in there half of August, September and October. By the end of October, or even by the beginning of October, they started to take girls from Auschwitz to take them to Germany. And we heard that in Germany things would have been much better because they were not so crowded. The camps in Germany were not so crowded. We heard that. I don't know how true, but in our case it happened to be true because we were shipped to Germany, my sister and I and one of the cousins. I saw my 3 cousins about our age, more or less. They all 3 died. How many died here every day, I really don't know. I only know that they were push carts taken out of cadavers. Not only the dead, those who really, they were not dead. We knew they were, some were not, but they were just as good as dead, and they wanted to be considered dead. They had enough of the suffering. By the end of October, my younger sister and myself and one cousin, we were designated to leave Auschwitz. But before that, then we had to take our dress off, and the doctors would look up and down. We were told just pinch your cheeks, very good, so it will look kind of alive. We look, I don't know, some kind of gray yellow. It seems like I discovered bones that I didn't know I had in my body, my ribs. It seems like the knees were, all the bones were sticking out. My knees, my elbows, my shoulders. It seemed like little by little we were just like melting away, not having enough food every day. Not only that, the beatings, the terrible conditions that we were. It was very easy to just be reduced to walking skeletons, but nevertheless, we were selected to go to Germany, and only then, after arriving in August, only in October, we were able to go to the shower again. Can you imagine 2.5 months of filth? Our dresses were all tattered. Some of them were walking practically naked, some without shoes. Really, at times we just didn't care what would happen. All we wanted to know, we were praying just to die. That was the easiest way out. But I guess the human body or the human spirit can endure. There is no limit to the endurance of a person. Some more than others, I suppose. I mean, I am an example of how much the human spirit or the human body can endure. So we were taken to Germany. The conditions were better there. They gave us a pair of panties this time, a pair of clogs, no stockings, and a dress. We arrived there at the end of October, I think about November the 1st, and within 2 days we saw the first snow. It was very cold. Our barracks were brand new. We were 300 girls. They put 100 in each barrack. Imagine, upon seeing a single bed, a little bunk with a straw mattress and a blanket. It was very cold, mind you, but we thought that we already were in paradise. They put us to work in the factory, 1 week nighttime, 1 week daytime, 12 hours a day, and we were warned that there is no crematorium there. They are not going to kill us. When the war is over, they will send us home. However, we had to work, and they gave us a quota of things to work in an ammunition factory. My job was to make holes in pieces of machine gun. My sister was a few feet from me, and my cousin as well. We were girls from all over Europe. We got along much better. The lines, nobody pushed, because we were told if we pushed, then we would not get any food. So we really behaved very well. It went on November, December, January, February, March. In April, we were taken to Czechoslovakia, and there we were liberated by the Russians. And we arrived in Italy in September, and that's when we really we were free. And then in 1948, I had the good fortune be coming to the United States. You can imagine, upon arriving in New York and looking at the Statue of Liberty, I thought, this is heaven on earth. It is, in a way, no, America is not perfect. America is, yes. It is we have to make it perfect. It's up to us. And to keep in mind that persecution of other people, regardless of race or color or religion, is against every religion. It is not fair, it's very unjust. It's against God, it's against everything in the world. So not to practice prejudice and to bear in mind that freedom doesn't come easy. We have to protect it, we have to cherish it. And it's up to you. You are the youth, and you are the keepers of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So you are studying, and please be good Americans. Thank you.